Welcome to Cooking with Bobbi Jo. Chastity here with another jewel-worthy sugar-free recipe. Today I'm making sugar-free lemon blueberry cheesecake. When I say sugar-free, I mean I have not added any sugar to this recipe. We all know that fruits and berries contain natural sugars, therefore the lemon and blueberries will have some natural sugars in them. Those of us with diabetes can still have a serving of fruit here and there. But if you wanted this to have less natural sugar, just leave out the blueberries, although I think the blueberries are the best part of this cheesecake. So let's get started making this cheesecake. There are several steps to this. We will start with the crust and work our way up, and I'm going to be making a pecan crust. You can do a graham cracker if you prefer, but that will add sugar to the cheesecake. You can also get sugar-free cookies and crush those up to make a crust. There's all sorts of ways to make sugar-free crust. For the crust, you're going to need pecans, or you can use pecan flour if you can find that, but you can make your own pecan flour. That's what we're going to do. A half a cup of butter. In this recipe, I used 3/4 a cup of butter, but that was a little too much, so it would do much better with a half a cup. 1½ tablespoons of stevia, 1½ tablespoons of swerve brown sugar, and 2 tablespoons of cinnamon. If you don't like that much cinnamon, you can do teaspoons, but we really love our cinnamon, so I did 2 tablespoons of cinnamon in this crust. Start by melting the butter, and while that is melting, I'm going to go ahead and make the pecan flour. To make pecan flour, all you need to do is pour some shelled pecans into a blender. Blend it on high until it gets a flour consistency. Preheat the oven to 325 degrees. Pour 2½ cups of pecan flour into a mixing bowl. Add in 1½ tablespoons of swerve brown sugar. I'm using a half a tablespoon to measure this because my tablespoon is in the dishwasher dirty, so it may look like I'm adding more than 1½ tablespoons, but I'm not. Then you want to add 1½ tablespoons of stevia, and then as much cinnamon as you like. As I said, I'm putting 2 tablespoons of cinnamon in here. Then you want to mix it all together. You're going to need a 9-inch springform pan for this recipe. I take the bottom out of the pan and I cut out a piece of parchment paper close to the same size. I usually get a marker and I trace around and cut it out, but I cannot find my marker. So I'm just going to go around and try to cut it the best I can. And if you've never used a springform pan before, they're simple to use. There's a latch on the side. You can unlatch it and the bottom comes out. Latch it and it will tighten up to where it won't fall out. It's used for baking items like cheesecake and things like that, where you don't want to have to dump the cake upside down and out of the pan. Instead, you just unlatch this and it opens up where you can lift it up over the cake without messing the cake up. I'm sure there is a more eloquent way of explaining this, but that's my southern explanation. So put the bottom in, latch it so it's tightened, then place your parchment paper on the bottom. You want to spray down the sides with non-stick cooking spray. I'm using Baker's Joy, and I know it's going to end up spraying out thick. It always does. But it's the best thing to keep things from sticking to the pan. Next, pour the melted butter into the mixing bowl and mix everything together. Pour that into the bottom of the springform pan and pat it out. Now if you want your crust to go up the sides of your cheesecake, then pat it up the sides of the pan. I'm just going to be doing it on the bottom. And this is a little too moist because I did use 3/4 a cup of butter like I normally do for a graham cracker crust. But with pecan flour, it seems to have a little more moisture to it and didn't need as much butter. That's why I said in the beginning to only use a half a cup of melted butter. Once you have it like you want it, then place it in the preheated oven for 10 minutes. While that's baking, let's work on the filling. For the filling, you will need 3 8-ounce packages of cream cheese at room temperature, 1 cup of stevia, and I've tried other substitutes, but stevia works best for this recipe, 1 cup of sour cream, 3 tablespoons of all-purpose flour, the zest and juice of 1 lemon, 3 large eggs, and 2 large egg yolks at room temperature, and 2 cups of blueberries. And these are frozen blueberries. I've just rinsed them off to thaw them out a little bit. I'm going to zest and juice my lemon. Make sure to wash your lemon first, and you can zest any citrus fruit. Zesting is basically just removing the outer layer of skin from the lemon, and it's a great way to add extra flavor when you're cooking. I'm just going to lightly graze the skin over my grater. Once you see white, don't zest any longer. If you zest the white area, it will be bitter, and you don't want bitter in this cheesecake. Now I'm going to cut the lemon in half, and I'm going to squeeze the juice out. And I put a strainer here to catch any seeds that fall out. If you have some gadgets you prefer to use to juice a lemon, go right ahead. I have a very nice juicer, but it's easier to just do one lemon by hand. I do gallons of juice with my juicer. And that's all there is to it. The lemon is ready. I'm going to go ahead and separate my eggs to get my 2 egg yolks. And I save my egg whites. I don't waste anything. So if I can't find anything to use it in, I will go ahead and use it in breakfast tomorrow and whisk up some scrambled eggs. Okay, it's been 10 minutes. I'm going to pull the crust out of the oven and let it cool, and then we will continue with the filling. Oh, and before I forget, I need to turn the oven down to 300 degrees. Place the cream cheese in a large mixing bowl, and I cut it into smaller pieces so it will be easier to mix. I still do not have a new stand mixer. My old one broke, so I'm going to have to do this with my handheld mixer. So I'm going to mix the cream cheese. Then add in the flour and stevia and mix that on low until it's smooth. Add in the sour cream, the lemon zest, the lemon juice, and continue to mix on low speed until it's combined. Then add eggs one at a time and mix before adding the next. Once that's mixed together, fold in the blueberries. Now that the filling is done, we need to prepare the pan for a water bath, and don't be intimidated by a water bath. It's not that difficult. Cheesecakes tend to crack without moist heat. That's why you do a water bath. There's foods that require moisture in the oven, and that's where this water bath comes in. So for a water bath, you will need an oven-proof pan or a skillet that's larger than your springform pan. You want your water to be 1.5 to 2 inches up the side of the springform pan. That way you have enough water in the pan so it won't evaporate before the cheesecake is baked. So I'm wrapping my cheesecake pan in an oven bag. Then I cover the oven bag with aluminum foil. I do this for double protection from the water. You do not want water getting into the cheesecake. If you don't have an oven bag, you can use 2 or 3 sheets of aluminum foil. Just do it in a crisscross pattern for best results. I'm using my Birmingham Stove and Range number 14 skillet as a water pan. Now I know some of you will say, oh no, don't use cast iron with water, but it's okay. I will grease it up when we are done. Cast iron is the only thing that I have that is bigger than this 9-inch springform pan, and I've found that my cheesecakes turn out so much better when I use cast iron for my water bath. So pour the filling onto the crust. I banged the cheesecake pan into the skillet a few times to get the air bubbles to come up to the top. Now I'm going to add the water. I'm going to go a little over halfway on the pan. Now place this in the 300-degree oven for 1 hour and 15 minutes. After 1 hour and 15 minutes, turn the oven off. Leave the cheesecake in the oven with the door closed for 30 more minutes. It may be a little jiggly in the center like Jell-O, and that's okay. As you leave it in the oven, it will continue to bake. After 30 minutes, leave the oven door open and leave the cheesecake in the oven for 30 more minutes. And I know this sounds crazy, but this helps the cheesecake continue to bake as the oven cools. Trust me, it works. Remove from the oven and cool. Once it has cooled enough to touch, remove the water bath wrapping. Now I'm going to pour the water out of the cast iron and rinse it out. See, that looks just fine. I'm turning the stovetop on to heat the cast iron. I'm drying it with my cast iron drying cloth, and once it's heated I will add some oil to it. Then I will get my oil cloth and wipe the oil all over the cast iron, and then it is good as new. Place the cheesecake in the fridge to cool completely. And while the cheesecake is cooling, I'm going to go ahead and make my topping. And for the topping, you're going to need 6 tablespoons of stevia, 1 to 2 tablespoons of flour, 2 tablespoons of water, 1 cup of blueberries, and 1 teaspoon of lemon juice. Mix together all ingredients, and I mix the flour into the water and then I pour it in. And this will thicken the topping. If it isn't thick as it needs to be once it's heated, then add another tablespoon of flour and water. The topping is done once it starts to thicken. Let it cool in the fridge. And for the best tasting cheesecake, let it stay in the fridge overnight. I also made sugar-free whipped topping. Once everything is cooled, then pour the blueberry topping on the cheesecake. I went around the edges with whipped topping. Nothing fancy. I just get a Ziploc bag, fill it with whipped topping, and cut the tip off and put that on the cheesecake. But with a piping bag, you can make really pretty designs if you want to do that. Then slice it and share it with your friends. This is my early birthday cake, and we were discussing my birthday earlier today, and I'm a year younger than I thought I was. How many women think that they are a year older than they really are? Last couple of years with all these medical issues has me feeling older, I guess.
The presentation is excellent. It looks really good.
Well, we want to know what it tastes like.
I'm sure. Okay.
Now, I didn't do a graham cracker crust because graham crackers have sugar. So I made a pecan crust. And it's kind of soft because I think I put a little too much butter in it. So it don't have that crunchy, but yeah, it's got a good taste to it because I put cinnamon and stevia and brown sugar swerve.
Well, let me get a bite with the whipped cream.
Getting serious, taking the glasses off.
It's really good. I think it might be better than the sugar one you made. What was that, 2-3 years ago for my birthday or something?
Yeah, this is my birthday cake.
Yeah, this has a really good, number one, I like the texture. It's soft. I love blueberries, so I love that.
You taste a little bit of tart lemon in it?
It's a hint of tart lemon. It's not overpowering. It complements the blueberries, or the blueberries complement it, and they just go so well together. The whipped cream on top has a little bit of a sweet taste to it, but it's not overly sweet like Cool Whip can sometimes be. It's yeah, this is awesome. I love it.
What do you think of the crust?
Tell you the truth, I haven't even noticed the crust. I mean, it's soft. It's got a little bit of a, it's like your nut crust you make that's got a good firmness to it without being distracting. Because I love the lemon blueberry.
Do you taste a little cinnamon in the crust?
a very little bit, but it's like I said, the taste in this are more hints of taste. It's not overpowering. It's very, I would almost call it a very subtle. It's not gonna, you're not just gonna eat it and have your taste buds overwhelmed. It's got a very, very good flavor to it. And especially, I'm following it. It's following one of your fajita pizza things. So that one was like, this is a great compliment to that because it's a little sweet, and that was cheese and pepperoni, and then what'd you have, a little cheese sauce on it?
Alfredo.
Yeah, Alfredo sauce. So that complements this really well, and it's spectacular.
I was very surprised because I wasn't sure how it would set using stevia instead of regular granulated sugar. But I said, I'm going to try it anyway. And it turned out great. Mm-hmm. It'll probably be even better tomorrow after it's sat in the fridge overnight. Because it's still a little softer than it usually is. It's probably not set long enough. Because I just took it out of the oven maybe 3 hours ago.
Yeah,
but
this is
when I took my piece
really
of
good.
it, I was like, this don't even taste sugar-free.
No.
So that's the kind of stuff.
It doesn't have any of that sugar-free aftertaste you get. This is awesome.
So I was like, okay, I have a dessert I can eat now. So I figured this would be my early birthday cake because I don't think you're going to make me one for my birthday.
Take your chances. But this is awesome.
So does it get the drool-worthy stamp of approval?
Oh, absolutely. I can honestly say that's one of those dishes that it won't go to waste. We'll eat all of it. May share some with my parents, but we'll eat it.
That's a big cheesecake, so it'll last a while if we don't share.
Yeah, we'll have to give some to my parents, but yeah, that's good. Really good.
Okay.
So thank you.
You want to give me your thumbs up?
Well, there you have it. No sugar added lemon blueberry cheesecake. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments or send me an email. It's listed in my About page. And stay tuned tomorrow, and I will be participating in a fondue challenge. This was my first time making fondue. Thanks for watching. Y'all have a blessed day.